and welcome to another fresh episode on Maritime Radar. The effectiveness of transport system connotes easy and unhindered flow or movement from a point of origin to a destination. Transport creates wealth, grows business, and redistributes population while stimulating socio-economic growth and development. The transport policy of any nation should be designed to bring innovation, bridging the gap between theory and practice, while ensuring that management practices are tailored to suit that environment, thereby promoting and accelerating economic activities. Developmental issues that will cause policy changes, shape opinions are some of the issues that will be brought on the front burner on Maritime Radar. I'm Nneoma Obi-Asualo. Multimodal transportation could be the key to unlocking the treasures in the maritime industry if properly addressed. It is the reliance of many modes of transport, from water transport to inland waterways. We also have the roads, the air, and the rail. However, what is important is that so much multimodalism, but the intermodalism. This is because there has to be connectivity. There must be interface among these modes of transportation so as to ensure a seamless transport system. Goods transported by sea should get to the owner through rail and road transport. This multimodal transportation will facilitate trade and commerce, revenue generation for government, finance development issues, related economic activities, which also need strategic infrastructure in dry ports, which will solve the lingering crisis in port congestion. In this episode, our focus will be on optimizing maritime potentials and how we can add value to our trade. But before we get further into today's lineup on the program, let's find out the latest in maritime news.
The Nigerian Shippers Council, in collaboration with the Union of African Shippers Council, will hold the 9th edition of African Shippers Day in Lagos from Monday the 16th of January to Wednesday the 18th of January 2023. The program, with the theme African Continental Free Trade Agreement, a veritable platform for African shippers to mainstream in global trade, will be declared open by President Muhammadu Buhari. The Secretary General of the African Continental Free Trade Agreement, AFCFTA, Wamkele Mene, is expected to make a presentation on how the agreement can be a vehicle for Africa's economic growth and development. Other speakers include the Secretary General, International Chamber of Commerce Nigeria, Olubunmi Osuntui, and Nwachukwu Remigos for the African Export-Import Bank's Trade Finance Department. The African Shippers Day is primarily aimed at creating a forum for the exchange of ideas and experiences amongst shippers organizations in the West and Central African sub-regions, discussions on issues that will improve maritime trade, and disseminating information on the role of Shippers Council and the Union of African Shippers Council. Chilean authorities are investigating a violent heist at Chile's main seaport, where thieves stole several shipping containers filled with copper belonging to state-owned giant Codelco. Juan Carlos Catalan, the local prosecutor, said that 10 armed men entered the San Antonio port early on Tuesday morning, attacked workers, and stole 13 containers, 12 of which had copper worth about $4.4 million. Catalan added that the one guard on duty and 4 workers were beaten and tied up by the robbers. It was after they freed themselves that they were able to alert authorities. The prosecutor disclosed that security footage has been reviewed, but no suspect had been detained yet. The copper was scheduled to be exported and was insured. The International Maritime Organization, IMO, is assisting Yemen's Maritime Affairs Authority to put in place a legal framework that gives full and complete effect to IMO instruments dealing with maritime security. A 5-day workshop held in Aden was to sensitize national stakeholders on the content of the IMO circular on guidance for the development of national maritime security legislation in order to develop national legislation giving full and complete effect to the relevant maritime security measures. This is part of the program of activities under the multi-year regional program for maritime security in the Red Sea area, which is funded by the European Union and jointly delivered by IMO, the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, Interpol, and the Intergovernmental Authority on Development. Under this program, the IMO will assist participating countries to enhance maritime security and safety in the Red Sea area in line with the 2050 Africa's Integrated Maritime Strategy. DP World has started a partnership with AP Moller Maersk to proceed with the decarbonization process and increase productivity at the Jebel Ali port in Dubai. This partnership will provide support to Maersk's customers and implement new processes to improve productivity on the quayside, which will lead to faster gate turnaround times at Jebel Ali port and reduce fuel consumption. Maersk will develop two services for customers moving their cargo through Jebel Ali, a fast-track service through priority cargo management and a cargo storage solution. DP World entered a strategic partnership a year ago with the Maersk McKinney Moller Center for Zero Carbon Shipping, an independent non-profit organization, to undertake intensive research and development to find practical ways to decarbonize the global maritime trade industry. DP World Group Chairman and CEO Sultan Ahmed bin Sulaim announced plans in November 2022 to invest up to $500 million to cut CO2 emissions from its operations by nearly 700,000 tons over the next 5 years.
This is Africa. I bet you've heard a lot about it. But this is what you need to know. It's the home of the youngest and fastest growing population in the world. This, my friend, is opportunity right here. This is the future, and everyone wants Africa's attention. You need a voice that's African, young, conversational, a platform with the potential to reach millions of people across the continent with content they can relate to, such as lifestyle shows, sports, and news, just the way they love it. Imagine all the people you could be talking to on News Central TV. Well, don't just think about it. Contact us for sponsorship and advert bookings. Put your brand where Africa is watching. It's News Central TV.
If you're just joining us, this is Maritime Radar, where we explore the massive diverse opportunities to be found in Africa's maritime industry and how private sector involvement can drive investment and growth in the sector. In this chat with Captain Emmanuel Iheanacho, Chairman, Genesis Shipping Worldwide, and the former Minister of Interior, he shared on the essentials to a workable maritime industry. Stay with us. There are huge opportunities inherent in the maritime industry. Why is it that operators in the industry do not optimize these opportunities?
Yeah, these opportunities can be optimized if there are proper policies in place which recognizes first and foremost the importance of the maritime sector to the growth of the Nigerian economy. There has to be a recognition also of the benefits that are inherent in Nigerians participating in the production function, all the modal stages of production activity that occurs in the sector. If we don't have this, then of course we have a development which is approached in a haphazard way, and that's not what we want, and that's what we're getting. So we really need to have coordinating points where the opportunities are absolutely marshaled, where proper strategies are thought out, where proper policies for implementation are also articulated, and then we make an effort towards achieving optimization through the participation of indigenous operators in these businesses.
So these policies, you think it's what can reposition the industry for growth?
Absolutely. I mean, let's look at the Nigerian economy and how it is structured. Nigerian economy is dependent on trade, and there's one commodity that dominates everything that we do, and that is trading crude. So we start from the point where the crude is actually harvested from its natural location. So it's produced. Is it produced by Nigerians or is it produced by parties other than Nigerians? Then that oil is produced and is to be exported to a foreign refinery. It has to be carried. Are the ships operated by Nigerians or are the vessels operated by foreign interests? Then we then move to the point where the oil is taken to the refineries. Again, it goes to a foreign refinery.
So what apt policies do you want to see now?
It's a development policy that really recognizes the structure of the Nigerian economy, how it operates, the role of the Nigerian entrepreneur in the development of this economy, and specific policies that target, make it easy for Nigerians to participate in this business.
Do you think we don't have these policies?
We do have them, but there's a big difference between having those policies and those policies.
So what is the problem?
They are improved. They have to be implemented. There has to be a policy that is articulated. There has to be a plan for implementation. There has to be checkpoints for seeing whether we are achieving the necessary results or not. And if there's any need for us to make any amendments to the original policy, we'll do it. But if these things are not done, wishes are completely different from what you really see in reality. So I wish that I was a prince. Does that make me a prince?
No.
I wish that I was a king. Does that make me a king? So you have to really look at what it takes to be a prince, what it takes to be a king, to see how you can actually move from where you are to becoming that thing.
So what conversation should we be having now around these developmental policies? Well, since you have already mentioned that this is the only thing that will drive the maritime industry.
Well, I mean, the conversations that we should be having is looking at our situation currently. If you come to the ports, for instance, come to the ports of Lagos, and you see the absolute chaos that characterizes the operation of the port system, then you understand that there is a need for us to have proper planning that takes into account historical growth in cargo types and volumes, and then a planning that looks into the infrastructure that we have on ground at this point in time and how we relate it to the volumes that are evolving. And if there is a deficit in terms of the available infrastructure, what do we do? The main difference between us and the developed countries is that they are continuously thinking, continuously changing. And what we see when we come back from our visits to Europe and we come down to Nigeria, it's the same thing that we saw 20 years ago that we continue to see. Does this mean that people are not laying down policies? Of course, there's a lot of talk shop that goes on. But what about implementation? You know, so these are the things that we have to really give priority to.
You mentioned increase in the volume of trade. You will agree with me that trade has a key role to play in driving economic growth. Do you think we have the capacity in terms of facilities, in terms of infrastructure, to match up this huge volume of trade that we've moved on from the 60 to what we have now?
Well, I have told you that we have a huge deficit that is apparent. I mean, you just have a look at what's happening on the roads. You can see thousands of trucks lined up on the roads.
So I mean, what I'm trying to say is that what solutions are we providing to this? We have seen that the volume of trade is not merging up with the facilities we have. So
Sure.
what do we do? What are the solutions that
we have to put committees together to look at the problems and for them then to look at what solutions we can actually proffer to the problems that we have. So it's not a question that the problem is there and it's going to go away. It's not going to go away if you don't plan. Planning means looking at what's on ground, Looking at the port environment, for instance, it used to be the case that people lived right next door to the ports. But at this point in time, when trade has grown and we're looking for marshalling areas for trucks, we're looking at areas for expanding the roads, do people still need to live near the ports? Or would it be best for us to create a situation, and giving you an example, where you can actually relocate those who are living next door to the ports and then develop that hinterland as a purely operational and commercial area for the movement of goods? These are some of the things that we need to do. So, and I think also that in considering some of these things, what we refer to in our local parlance as politics comes into play. And to my mind, politics, the way we play it, is something that is so detrimental to our progress as a people, because it means that irrationalities can be condoned. People who have skills can be absolutely shut out of the jobs that they know. And we say it's politics, and then nothing happens, and then we get the chaos that we have on the roads. So we really need to ask ourselves the critical question: do we need to continue like this? It cycles, boom and bust, trade growth, no infrastructure, no roads, no marshalling area for trucks, and then we start attempting to have solutions that don't last very long, and then the cycle increases and then continues like that.
What conversation should we be having around adding value to our trade? But that will be after this short break. Please stay with us.
News Central TV, Africa's #1 storyteller, has come with the best of both worlds. With a combination of news app and live TV, we ensure that you keep track of the latest headlines, breaking news, and in-depth analysis from professional journalists from around the continent. Download the News Central TV app on Android and iOS and get started today. Don't forget to follow us on News Central's social media platforms. News Central, Africa first.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is Maritime Read, and I still have with me in the studio Captain Emmanuel Iheanacho. Before we went on that break, I asked, what conversation should we have around adding value to our trade?
Well, I mean, the conversation that we need to have is really examining the extent to which our indigenous businessmen are participating in the development of our trade and economy. To the extent that we find that there are deficits in their participation, we need to find out what the problems are. We have looked at some of the problems. We did talk about the issue of politics. Then we talk about the issues of financing. There are so many other issues that we really need to look at. But looking at it from the point of view of what's happening in the maritime, let's take, for example, the shipping sector. You know, a few years ago, we got together, myself and a few professionals in the sector, to articulate a vision for the participation of Nigerians in Nigeria's cabotage trade.
Good.
And the understanding at that time was that the cabotage trade was going to be a stepping stone for us into going into international shipping. We worked very hard and we drew up all these plans, and at the end of the day, the plans are there for cabotage, for the rapid entry of Nigerians into the business of ship owning. But what results have we achieved? We have achieved just the opposite, because Nigerians are completely and totally shut out from the system the way it operates currently.
But the announcement of dispersing the CVFF, is that suiting to you?
Yeah, it's only an aspect of the problem. The CVFF is not the major problem. Okay. The CVFF is the financing aspect, because you know investments in shipping are highly capital intensive. And if local banks are not sufficiently capitalized to provide the funding that we require to buy ships, then special funds have got to be set up so that people can go there and borrow. Well, How long has that been in the offing? It's been there for a very long time, and it's only recently that we have heard that permission has been gotten from Abuja for this money to be disbursed. Well, I hope they do it very quickly, and I hope they do it efficiently, because we need to have Nigerians who own and operate shipping in Nigeria as an international trade as well as a cabotage trade.
That will help to end this foreign dominance, you think?
Well, it certainly will do. I mean, if you have a situation where Nigerians are coming in with fairly new tonnage, competing, then certainly the dominance would be a thing of the past.
If we must drive